Hit this cheek.
I'm here to talk to you today about America's #1 cash crop. Now, I'm not talking about corn, and I'm not talking about wheat. This crop, even though it's making more than all the other crops, is not legal. And that crop is cannabis. Cannabis draws in a revenue of about $35.8 billion a year, more than the combined total of both wheat and corn. 27.4% of people between the ages 18 and 25 chronically use or have tried marijuana. Now, with all these people smoking weed and all this money being generated, why is it illegal? Because it's a drug? Nope. Let me backtrack. 18th century, 3 great men cultivated marijuana. Let me talk to you about these 3 great men. Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, and the father of our country, George Washington, who was quoted saying, "Make the most you can of the Indian hemp seed and sow it everywhere." Now, our country started off on quite the positive note with marijuana. People were smoking it, people were using it for paper and fibers. It was a wonderful miracle plant. So what turned the tables on it? Well, fast forward 200 years, and you have a man named William Randolph Hearst. Now, many of us don't know who William Randolph Hearst is, but if you know the movie Citizen Kane, it is based on the man, William Randolph Hearst, a huge mogul of his time, made more money than God, but yet, not enough in his mind. Now, he was friends with Henry Anslinger, who was the commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics at the time. Now, see, William Randolph Hearst was having a problem because he had large stock in the timber industry, which made his paper for his newspaper corporation. But there was a growing competition going on because hemp was going on the market and being made into a paper much cheaper and better quality than that of his timber. Now, William Randolph Hearst wants his money. He's not going to let this new plant take out his empire. So he talks to his friend at the Narcotics Bureau, Mr. Henry Anslinger, and he says, "Hey, you don't like the blacks. I don't like the hemp paper. Let's work these together, and let's make this thing illegal." So together, they fabricated this propaganda spread throughout the people so they could eventually build up and pass their Marijuana Tax Act of 1973. Henry Anslinger is even quoted telling people marijuana makes the darkies think they're as good as white men. Now, I'm pretty sure nowadays, if I wanted to make something illegal, and one of my arguments was, this thing makes people of another color feel better than us, pretty sure that argument would not stand in today's Congress and not would help push through to make it illegal. People don't know this, but marijuana was legal in the United States until 1937, when the Marijuana Tax Act was passed. So there are some people who have lived in their lifetime and have seen legal marijuana, illegal marijuana, and if this country wakes up, they might see it legalized again. People always talk about it's illegal because of its effects on the human brain and body. But when it was made illegal back in 1937, the health effects were not anywhere part of the argument, other than the fact that it said it will make your kids crazy and go out and kill people, which it doesn't. I believe they had marijuana confused with PCP, which was not invented yet. The whole legalization process was based on pure race, which today we now live in a country where a man is not supposed to be judged by the color of his skin. So, shouldn't we undo all the laws we made that had to do with race? Oh wait, because there's only one, pot. So why don't we change it? Is it just because Congress is too ignorant? Maybe if they looked up how much it's costing us a year, they would change their mind. There are about 872,720 people incarcerated for marijuana-related crimes in 2010. It costs about $27,000 a year in tax dollars money to upkeep a single prison inmate. So if you do the math, that is $23.5 billion a year in our tax dollars, keeping people in jail who did nothing but smoke a plant or buy or sell a plant. Now, if we completely legalize weed, $23 billion can do a lot in going towards school and drug and rehabilitation programs. And I'm talking about drug and rehabilitation programs for things like prescription painkillers and heroin, real drugs with real problems on this country. This whole war against drugs started back during Nixon's administration. He was the one that first declared the war on drugs. Now, this war is a very expensive war. It's gone on longer than Iraq and has cost us a lot more than Iraq. Approximately $1,673 is spent every second on this war on drugs. Now, with no true victories or any end near, this war seems like a war not worth fighting, doesn't it? And now, I'd like to compare legal things to the illegal marijuana. Tobacco. We all love cigarettes. We all smoke cigarettes. We know they're bad for us. We know the habits. It says it straight on the thing now. Cigarettes are linked to cancer. And yet we still buy them. We're still legally allowed to buy them. And this results in about 500,000 deaths in the United States a year. And that was back in 2000. Firearms and prescription medication, both completely legal, but caused about 60,000 deaths in the United States last year. Now, if you look at these three things, tobacco, firearms, medication, all things that people would fight for till they died if they wanted to make them illegal. And yet they're so bad for us, killing so many people, but yet they stay legal. And marijuana has never recorded one cause of death. There has never been one death recorded due to marijuana use. So, it must not be kept illegal because of health effects. I understand if pot will never be legal to the masses because of people's blatant ignorance, but medical marijuana should be legal because it could be used instead of 70% of prescription medications. 70%. Now, I know how much your copays are and how much health insurance costs, and I'm sure you'd be a lot happier growing your medicine than having this drop about $100 every time you needed it. But a few certain people have their hands in pharmaceutical companies, and those few people, like Donald Rumsfeld and other members of the government, don't want to lose money. And they know if medical marijuana goes on the shelf, there goes their corporate empire. And the big problem is, a lot of the prescription medications being used in America are opiate-based, which are very dangerous and very addictive. 80% of the world's opiate medications are consumed in the U.S., and only 20% of those are actually used by the people who they prescribe to. So these legal medications are driving a whole drug war themselves. People are profiting off people's illnesses and addictions and don't care that there's a simpler, cheaper solution to it. It helps severe diseases like HIV, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, glaucoma, eating and sleeping disorders. It's an endless list. And now you legalize marijuana, you get drug dealers off the streets, you lower crimes. So not only are there going to be less people in jail for marijuana-related crimes, there'll be less people in jail for crimes in general. We've been taught all our lives how bad pot is, and it's been pushed in our brain how bad it is, and we've put it at the same level as drugs like heroin and cocaine. So in kids' minds today, they pick up that joint, smoke it, and are fine. They feel like they can go out and do a line or go shoot up and they'll be fine. But that's not the truth. It is not the truth at all. So I say legalize now.